My favorite representative that's not Rokana. AOC wrote a Twitter thread that I think is interesting because of something she said. So I'm gonna read it up to that part, and I'm gonna respond to it because I've seen some people who are also calling it out for being kind of strange. One of the first votes I ever cast broke with my party over House rules that strangled transformative legislation for working people and climate. It was honestly terrifying. Now CPC has pushed these critical rule changes in House negotiations. Grateful for Rep. McGovern's leadership. One of the first deep lessons I learned in the House that process is policy. If you pass Medicare for all, Green New Deal, etc., with messed up procedures, process slash rules, then it can be weaponized into austerity leg by rules requiring it to have insane tax hikes on or service cuts tied to it that aren't applied to others. So these rules, these rule changes are a big deal, and not only on healthcare, they are structural changes in the House that level the playing field for a full suite of flagship legislation, locks in that field for the next 2 years, and establishes precedents for after. This was not easy. And to be 100% honest, it was hard during this to be targeted plus marred as some sellout enemy of the people over a late tactical disagreement over one floor vote. Also, a bummer to see figures excuse comments like F her and F anyone who protects her. That's not tone, that's violence. On one hand, I am no stranger to abusive rhetoric and know that taking knocks comes with being an elected official, but as someone who prioritizes movement building and winning, creating something joyful that people actually want to be a part of is an important organizing principle. She has it short in there, but I want to focus on the part where she says, also a bummer to see figures excuse comments like F her and F anyone who protects her. That's not tone, that's violence. So I'm go if I'm being I guess honest of myself, it seems like she's trying to say that when people have spoken about her in a way that is mean and also profane, like how Jimmy's been doing, then it's violence. And I think that is absolutely insane. There is a big difference between someone saying a curse word and being like nasty about you on the computer and actually assaulting you. Um, and again, I understand where someone would get irritated over being, because I've said this before, progressives eat their own more than any other ideological group I've seen. Um, like Rand Paul will vote in ways that some libertarians don't like, but they won't abandon him. They won't try to say he has sold out the libertarian movement. Progressives have attacked Sanders, AOC, Tlaib, Presley, Rokana, Jayapal, just about everybody. Um, and then this is a big part of why I don't feel like the movement actually has any legs to stand on, because as you're supposed to be battling these different groups, you're all attacking each other and refusing to work together. But I've seen some people who also try to say that, you know, Jimmy's comments about her are similar to what that representative, what was it, Yoho, said about her last year. And I don't agree with that, because I think there's a big difference between somebody swearing about a politician they've never met in a video and someone swearing on the hills of Congress to a colleague that they supposedly work with every week. I just think this comment is really crazy that uh, it's violence for people to excuse comments of that nature. I'd like rhetoric will never be as hurtful as someone actually being violent. People can call me every nasty name online, which they have, um, but if they're not putting their hands on me, it still is nowhere near the same level of offense. Obviously, words can be hurtful, but they're not similar to people who actually do things physically to other people. And I think there's been too much made of civility. Um, so to watch her try to say that it's violence for people to say certain stuff about her and her supporters, I just don't think it's true. And I do think that you know you can express your issues with the politician. I guess maybe with me, I'm just tired of seeing a lot of the rhetoric toward Jimmy, like where they've been talking about him as a person instead of forced to vote, which is what he was supposedly championing. Um, and they've like really harped on his rhetoric, and it's been kind of annoying to me because rhetoric is not as important as policy. At least it shouldn't be. So I guess maybe that's why I'm reacting to it this way. But I'm just reading what she wrote, that it's violence to see people excuse comments of the nature that she described. I'm not saying them again because they have curse words in them, but people just have to understand that saying things that someone doesn't like, no one's above criticism, and when people are online, they can say whatever they want about you. You know, it's not, a lot of it is mean, a lot of it's messed up. Um, and hell, you might even think it's slanderous for someone to say that you betrayed their movement, but the internet is not regulated in terms of the only time you really get a pushback is if you start spreading just misinformation. And even then, people, it's like if they can spread misinformation about this virus, I'm not surprised they can share it about a congresswoman. They can lie about her. But again, there's a difference between people lying and then people just saying things that are mean to you. And I think that's what she's upset about. But again, she's a politician who's one of the most popular ones currently in office. So I don't know what else she expected. And, you know, to call it violence, I just, like, I'm gonna take this quote, I'm gonna say, somebody comes to my video, they call me a mean name. That's not tone, that's violence.